Hi everybody, thank you for dropping by, everybody, both of you. It's what, 3:30 in the afternoon. I've got to go and have a shower, as you can see, but I thought I just wanted to have a quick chat and say hello, and have another quick chat about a recording session. This particular session, I really like this because normal thing, phone rings, ding 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 ding. Hello, Bob. What do you play some keyboards, please? Do you want drums and have I got to do any programming? No, just want you to play keyboard. Oh, how marvellous. What do you want then? We just want some piano and some like sounds and kind of the soundy type things that I would usually do. That's all we want. Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, I'd love to. Where's the session? Chipping Norton Recording Studios with Barry Hammond, who's one of the top engineers, full stop. Lovely chap as well. And okay, fine. Who's the band then? They're from Belgium, okay, and they're called the Scabs. So we've done quite different. We've been around the country a little bit, haven't we? In that sense, the country, well, a bit further afield than that, perhaps. We've done Spain. What do? We did Spain, Germany, America, Japan, and now we're moving to Belgium. So I don't know if that's a move up, down, or sideways. I mean, I'll leave that for you to think about that one if you want to. The band are called the Scabs. It's like when you get a scab on your knee or a scab on your arm kind of thing. The Scabs from Belgium. And the producer says to me, like, I need to warn you about something though. Oh, do you? Oh, crikey. Oh, what's that then? Well, the band are sort of like a punk rock band, and they're quite scary. Right, and how many's in the band then? Well, 4. Right, okay then. Okay, so we did all that thing, and he said, look, I said, do you want to send me tapes and stuff? He said, no, just turn up. Okay, fine. So I just turn up, and I was only there for a day. Excuse me. And he told me they were scary. And just at the end of the phone call, he said, oh, one thing the band have asked the producer to organise for them, because they're over from Belgium, is if he could organise them something to smoke, like a spliffy type thing for them to smoke, which he wasn't capable of doing that, at least organising it. So he just asked me, Bob, can you have you got any chance you could bring out something for the band to smoke? Oh, yeah, of course I can. All right then. That actually works as well as a bit of a ploy, because sometimes you'll get sessions because, the people who are involved with the session know that you can bring up a spliff, especially if they come from outside the country. So, yeah, of course I will. So I turned up at the studio, Chipping Norton Studios. Barry Hammond was there and the producer. So I said hello to everybody. It's a lovely studio. It's residential. So there's got there's 2 cottages built onto the studio, like 2-bedroom cottages which people can stay in. One's usually the producer or the manager normally, and then in the actual studio complex, if you like, there are probably 4, 5, 6, maybe even half a dozen separate bedrooms. And they're nice bedrooms as well. Where obviously you can sleep and stay. Then they have like a kitcheny area, which was really, really nice, all like pined out, and it was just quite rustic as well, which was kind of nice. It was just a lovely environment, and it worked quite nicely in the sense that if you're there and you are residential and you're staying there, which I've done at that particular studio, but not this particular job, because it was a case of just turn up at 9:30, 9:45 in the morning, and work through to whatever, which I did. So I turned up in the morning, and I walked in the studio, said hello to Barry, and said hello to the producer and the sort of staff, and one of the other the producer's brother, basically, also owned the studio. They were like co-owners of the studio, and the producer's brother was also somebody quite serious. He used to manage Jerry Rafferty, and in fact they made Baker Street, isn't it? They made that at Chipping Norton Studios, and Barry engineered that. Fabulously successful that was. But anyway, so I've gone in and said hello and seen the band. He was right. He's like, crikey, these guys were all leathered up, if you like, and what would you say? How would I describe that? They were kind of all leathered up, and they were all pierced up as well. They had quite a lot of piercings, some of them, and they did look quite intimidating, to be honest. And it was a bit scary. So I guess the producer must have found them a bit intimidating, at least visually. That's why he'd mentioned it to me on the telephone before I'd gone up for the session. But I have to say, these guys were just lovely. Every one of them were just absolutely lovely. Especially after I'd said, oh, by the way, I brought you something to smoke. Oh, think of what they didn't speak great English, but they could converse quite comfortably, and the singer did sing in English as well. And they were on Play It Again Sam Records in Belgium, and probably 45,000 units they would sell in Belgium. So they're reasonably successful, And I quite like what they did actually as well. I like them, the songs and the material and how they went about doing it. And the band clearly studied the record company because they'd obviously signed them up. And one of the songs that I was to play on, I think I played on 4 actually. And there were some other proper session players on the album. There's a guy playing organ, and I can do that, but I'm not very good, so I wouldn't normally get a session to play organ, although I have done. But they'd employed, I can't remember this guy's name now. It'll come to Mike Weaver. I think it's Mike Weaver, serious organ player. So he played organ on the album, and I did like the piano and all those, and some strangey type noises, which is what I was kind of booked to do, that kind of thing. And one of the songs was it was called "Mama, Is It Normal?" See if you can guess what that was about. It was about masturbating. And that was what the song was about. Is this normal, Mama, for me to be doing this? That kind of thing. But it was a great song, and that was one of the songs I got to play on. I didn't play piano on it because it was quite a root. How can I explain this? It was quite a root-based. There wasn't a lot of chords in it. It was quite just a pulse going, really, with a "Mama, is it normal?" It was like very, very root thing. And so I dialed up this keyboard. I had a new keyboard, which I can't remember what it was called, but there was a couple of sounds. There was like this lead keyboard sound, which had this like wee, 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 and all this echo stuff, which sounded really good. I've never heard anything like it with other keyboards, and it was quite new. And when we came to record that song, I said, I've got a sound for this, but I'm just hit record and tell me if you like it. Time and say, like that, Bob. But anyway, so I just ripped it up on this song, and I was all over the place with pitch wheels, bend wheels, giving it all this. Not too drastically, but just in certain places. Certainly not when the guy was singing his lead vocal. You don't play around that kind of thing when the guy's singing. You tend to try and do it in all the gaps. Anyway, they liked it, and it was like pretty much first go, and it ended up going on the record, so I was well chuffed about that. So I think I did some piano on one, and also did some sort of some sort of. I tracked the bass line that they played with some sort of keyboardy sound that was kind of similar to the bass, but it wasn't a bass; it was a keyboard. That went quite well as well, and yeah, I think all in all it was a good thing. So the fact that they were quite scary. It turned out to be absolutely lovely, lovely guys, all of them. And the fact that I took them up a quarter a blow, had to go and buy some and take it up for them. They were well chuffed about that. We did this song about masturbating and all the rest of it. When the actual album came out, because I mean, you do these jobs and you don't see the album for like maybe 6 months, 9 months, you don't see it, because it obviously has to go through all the production stage in the sense of producing the CDs and up the pressing plant and all that kind of thing. But when it finally came out, it was a lovely package. It turned up at it came in the post kind of thing. Oh, with a compliment slip from the management company, I can't remember which now, from one of them anyway. So I sort of opened up the package and had a look, and I thought, oh, this is nice, really nice. They've obviously spent some money here. And I sort of read through the old liner notes and all the rest of it. And sure enough, on the credits, it was, keyboards, Mick Weaver, organ, Bob Ross, piano, keyboards, and other things. But in brackets, where it had my name, it said the bass player in the band was a lovely guy. He was probably the loveliest out of all of them, and that was tough because they were all lovely, despite the fact they looked a bit intimidating and scary. They were lovely, and the bass player particularly, I liked him big time. And but he'd actually put a comment on there. It said Bob Ross keyboards, brackets, fonts says hi. On the record, I was so chuffed. Anyway, that was lovely. But it was a good, fun session. It was a really, really fun day out for me. I think I left about, 6:30. I would have stayed for dinner. So I probably would have had dinner. They have dinner about 6. You turn up and you have, if you're staying residentially, you have breakfast at 10 o'clock, cooked breakfast, whatever you like. And about sort of 1 o'clock noon, they bring down freshly made cakes, whatever you want. Coffee cakes, all that kind of that make on site. Bring them down. Get the girls on the catering side, they all do that, which was nice. I used to love doing sessions at Chip in Norton, and especially to see Barry Hammond at work, the engineer, because he was just staggering, especially when it came to drum sounds. He was the man for drum sounds. And the thing is that how can I explain this? I'm trying to think how to explain this. For those, especially for those of you who have done recording of drums in like local studios and stuff, and maybe been slightly disappointed in the drum sound. You can't blame these guys. It's not their fault, really, because you have to go to a studio like Chip in Norton and hear what a drum sound should sound like. Once you've heard that, when you go back to, that's what I did anyway, when I got back to my studio, I mean, the drum sound that I could get in my studio, I tried to make it sound like Chip and Norton Studios. Well, it would be daft not to, wouldn't I? Because I'd heard what Barry Hammond would make it sound like. So anyway, so I hope that's of some benefit to some people. And anyone watching, and thank you again so much for coming in, popping in, to having a listen to that. So we've been around, almost around the world as a session player, not quite, but so that was a Belgian thing. There's still a couple more actually, so I probably will do another one or two. I'm using a different setup than I have been doing. I've got my lovely 414 microphone out, which is this thing down here. That's the top of it there. And I've got this interface, which I mentioned on the last thing, this, what's it called? MicPort Pro. It's cost me £150. That turned up today. But unfortunately, we still got a problem with the crackling. If we get that, that's purely the computer. It's just too slow to process it. It can't handle it. So I'm trying to record this in my computer and see how that goes. If it doesn't work too well, then I'll have to go on and do it on the YouTube application online and try that. But again, thank you so much for coming to have a listen. And if any of you have any queries that you might want to run past me, please feel free to do that. And whatever you're going to do it, give it your best shot in life, and look after all those youngsters, those children, because they're our future. I know I keep saying that to you, but you know, I'm totally convinced that if we as a society put our children first and everything else secondary to that, that we would have a lovely, lovely future for everybody, and then we'd have a nice time on this planet. Anyway, look after yourselves and take care. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.